Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Expert Series Volkswagen T1 Camper van. It's based on a 1962 model, in particular, Westphalia edition with all the camping add-ons. And this model has been on the market for a while now, continues to be sold new as of the time of the recording of this video. I thought this build was going to be very sturdy, given its pill-like shape. Just normally from a geometric perspective, that would be a very strong construct. However, the designer built so many opening and changeable items into this, so many elements that can be moved around, and so many details that it's actually not something that you just want to grab from any angle and just kind of pick up like this. It's not going to fall apart on its own, just mentioning something that was a little bit striking and unexpected for me in particular. Now this is the plain side over here, which has less things that open up, and of course I'll show you the interior and everything, but this is kind of key for me in terms of evaluating how well the designer did in capturing the look of the iconic original Volkswagen minibus, if you will, because it really had a specific face, and not just the front, but also the front window, the front side window area just had a specific set of proportions that were very unique. And I think the designer did a really admirable job of capturing that face, especially with this window section here. The proportions there look good. Now if you compare this to an actual photograph and you do measurements, you may find things to be off, but just looking at it without being too hypercritical, just look away, look back at it, it looks right. Just overall, that's the key thing, and that's what I think was done especially well. This was really tough to get in there, and obviously there's white bleeding through. Would have been nice to get a couple of stickers, I think, actually, to fill up those spots under there, just to get a little red in there to not let that little extra kind of pixelation show behind there. That I think would have been a big plus. But otherwise, overall shaping is looking good. Overall proportions are looking good. And in terms of the size of this relative to a minifig, it's pretty big. Started out looking like it was going to be a little bit smaller than I thought, but once you start pasting the curvy bits onto this from the ends, it starts to increase in size. So, talked a lot about things that can open up. You've got doors that can open. This can open over here. You have to make sure that things are lined up just properly. And also it even has the windows that could be folded out on some models of these. We've got the door on the other side that can also be opened up. It gives easier access to the push out window there. Let some extra air in for summery days. And around the back, you can also open some more up. So you've got the hatch here that can be popped up. That's on a ratcheted hinge. And even the engine compartment can be opened up. And there's a bit of detailed engine in there that looks pretty good. They did not get the engine block into it down below, and none of these parts are really intended to move. But you got the heater, air hoses coming around the sides, the main pulley there going up to the alternator, little stock for the distributor off to one side, and kind of a representation that's a little bit too far back for the oil filler on the right. But just the overall, again, the first look, the first glance is pretty proper. Now this is actually still not open enough to let you get your hands in there to touch things, to move things around, or to even be able to see the details of the interior all that well. So the entire roof needs to come up, but before I remove that, I want to show you the pop-up roof section, which has a nice kind of friction scissor lift built into the interior of it, and that's a similar thing that they had on the real deal. And that just has a cloth piece, a nice soft cloth piece around it, which doesn't crinkle up too badly over time, and it has a nice finish to it. Looks very matte, doesn't have any shininess, doesn't look too plasticky, so that's pretty well done. And it just gives you that little pop-up area. I think that That should have been a little bit longer than it is, just from my own recollection of seeing these things in real life. But the fact that the feature is there is really good, and it's integrated in nicely, and you don't really need to worry about fiddling with it or putting that cloth piece on after you raise this up, or worrying about exactly how it folds under there. It just works. You've also got a roof rack over here, which has some tan panels to represent some, I think that's birchwood planking. Now, let me get some actual interior visibility here. The rear section comes off pretty easily and consistently. The front section requires a little bit of extra care. Sometimes you will pull off an extra piece, like one of these parts of the A-pillars may come off fairly easily, but for the most part, you just have two large sections there, and that lets us look at the interior much better. The driving compartment is pretty simple, as it is in real life, but I think the level of resolution is about appropriate for Lego stuff. You've got the long gear shift lever down here, which is appropriately kind of wobbly, how it can kind of move around. I think this is supposed to be the indicator stock for the turn signals. It's I believe it's supposed to be off to the left, though, whether it's a left-hand or right-hand drive vehicle. I think that was consistent on those, but the seats have a consistent color scheme between them. There is some open space under here. You can see my finger sticking through under there, so you know, some open spots, not completely covered up, but you know, overall I think that looks pretty respectable. But the main passenger compartment back here, and or living compartment for a lot of folks back in those days, looks just astonishingly good. Just how lively they were able to make this. They've got the sink unit over here, which even has a cabinet down below that can be opened up. They don't give you anything to put in there, but use your imagination. These curtains that they put in the windows are nice. These are kind of the harder cloth pieces like they used to use for capes for minifigs, but that's absolutely appropriate there. It just hangs nice and secure and consistently from one to the next. Got some details up here above. The interior of the sink is built up pretty nicely. A couple more seats, got some sconces on the wall there. This is actually a fold down table, so you can take that goblet off and bring that down to give you more access to space. Now, they don't have figures that are just the right size to match this, but if ever they do make some, that would certainly be nice to be able to bring them in to something like this. Got some more storage over here. There's shelving on the inside of the door. Got some cabinets here. This actually has a mirror sticker on it, which is a full chrome mirror piece. And this is a cabinet that can be opened up, used as kind of a closet storage space, and you can see into there. We've got a t-shirt that's hung up there, and it says "Make Lego Models, Not War." It's kind of a pun on the Make Love, Not War theme. And it actually has a little bit of sleeves on it. You can see just a little bit, but for the most part the curtains kind of block that. But back here further, you've got additional space, kind of your trunk space. That's supposed to be a lava lamp over on the side there. So some more storage space. Got a small plant growing in the back as well. And oh yeah, got a bit of a nice little scene on a picture there. Got the designer's initials, I believe, or one of the designer's initials. And another major feature here with the fold down table is the ability to fold down the rear seat as well. So all of this shifts forward, and then you can bring these apart, actually get that to be pretty flat to create the sleeping area. So it converts into a bed. It all works really well. I really couldn't ask for much more. It would have been nice to have a more tiled surface for the top of the table there, I think, just for the sake of consistency, but I understand why they didn't. It's just very constrained in terms of space. But this looks pretty good to me from most angles throughout the interior and the exterior. So I've got nothing to complain about. Obviously, something like this is designed for display, not play, so I can absolutely forgive the little bits of lack of durability with some of the components that need to be aligned properly. I mean, you even look at the photograph here, and if you look at it carefully, you'll notice that there are a lot of bits that are kind of off. You know, they're not perfectly together. And if you get your hands on this, you'll discover why, and you'll start to understand, you know, just the trade-offs that were made intentionally, clearly intentionally, between strength and level of detail and accuracy. And I appreciate actually the balance that they went with. Definitely leaning heavily in favor of accuracy and detail, and it just requires a little bit of extra care, a little bit more mature handling of this as a model as opposed to a toy. So I think good decisions were made. I think that it looks good. It was a good, interesting build, very varied, many different types of building techniques used, and in the end, it's a good-looking display piece. As I mentioned earlier, I would like to have seen the addition of the 4 little red triangular stickers for the front, but otherwise, this was a very nice design effort, and I'm glad that anybody who wants to have something that looks like this can just buy the box and build it according to the instructions and have it come out just like this. Hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.